Joe, and I'm out here in Albuquerque with my Zorki 1E and the little TT Artisans light meter, and I just wanted to give you guys an update on how I've been getting along with this camera and of course this light meter. I did do a review a while back. Right now I'm wandering down in an alley adjacent to Central Avenue in the Nob Hill part of Albuquerque, but I've mainly been using this camera either around my neighborhood, sort of suburban setting, or I've been using it over at my friend Ethan's, kind of snapping little impromptu intimate portraits of him or whatever. I put about 3 rolls of film through it so far. All of them have been Kentmere 100, and I've had good results. I currently have a roll of Ektar 100, so that's color film. I won't have this roll completed and developed in time for this video, but I'll be doing another follow-up on how this lens and camera gets along with color film. So I found that using this camera is actually pretty convenient with the light meter. I take a reading and then the dials are adjusted so the reading is zeroed, and then the dials can read what the exposure should be regardless of whether the meter is on or off. If the battery turns off automatically after 10 seconds. And then I transfer the settings to the camera, transfer the f-stop, of course, to the lens, and then the shutter speed, you have to wind on the film in order for the shutter speed dial to actually read accurately. So I'll wind on the film, set the shutter speed, and then I'm ready to go. If there's any changes in exposure, I often adjust the aperture and leave the shutter speed where it's at, because I have an infinite adjustment on the lens f-stop because it's not a click stop aperture, it's continuous range. And there's fewer shutter speed controls or shutter speed settings. So it's really more of an aperture priority kind of a setup for me. And it works really well. Wandering around here, there's, I haven't been here in a long time, and there's new loft apartments that have come up here in the last 2 years. And so things are changing around here for sure. Hey there.
Howdy.
How you doing?
Doing all right.
Good. F5.6 at a 250th. Minimal focal distance is about 1 meter. All right. It's quite a handy little camera. I think it's almost ideally sized for one-hand carry, especially with a wrist strap like I'm using. I like the makeshift half case that we're using here. I like the Jupiter lens, 50mm f2. Pretty good optics, I think, for the purposes at hand. I like the continuous f-stop adjustment on the lens. Of course, it's like a thread mount type of lens, so it is very small, smaller than the equivalent film SLR lens of its era, of course. So far my exposures have been quite good. We had the initial test of the camera after Ethan worked on it the first time, and we had some issues with the shutter curtains. He worked on those again, and it's been really solid ever since. Looking at the last roll of film from this camera, all of the exposures came out good. So that was using the TT Artisans light meter. So between the metering and the camera's shutter itself, it looks like it's very consistent in general kinds of shooting that you would do in outdoors, daytime shooting. I've been using 100 ISO film, which I think is pretty well matched for the range of shutter speeds this camera has, considering it only goes to 500th of a second maximum or fastest shutter speed. So I think it's really well suited for 100 ISO film. I find the rangefinder focusing is quite good. It has a fairly wide rangefinder baseline for the era of camera it is. You're really only focusing in the middle of the image, in the middle of the frame, because the rangefinder viewfinder is just centers on the center of the image, right? And then the viewfinder itself is okay with glasses. because it's a low magnification viewfinder, so it's like a little tunnel, but I can see the whole frame, so I can frame it up. I think I've gotten more pleasure out of it than my film SLRs, to be honest with you, and I'm not really sure why that is. But there's something about having a, what you might call a more minimal viewfinder, in the sense that you're not seeing the focus effects of the lens optics because you're not looking through the taking lens. You're just looking through a representative window of the scene itself. And so I think your mind's eye is more, let's say, one step disconnected from the image that's being recorded. You see the image through the viewfinder like the way you see it with your unaided eye. You don't see the focus effects from the lens. I think my mind tends to think about the subject matter more in terms of an objective subject matter rather than the image being based more on the optical effects of the lens, if that makes any sense. Like, I'm taking a picture of a subject rather than the optical effects of how a camera lens renders the subject, which is what you see in a SLR and a mirrorless digital camera. If that makes any sense, which it probably doesn't. But anyways, so I'm over here at McDuffie Park, northeast of University of New Mexico area, otherwise known as Hidden Park, because the park is completely surrounded by the backyards of houses. And there are 8 little alleyways that lead in and out of the park. So it's a nice place to walk around in quiet contemplation, or watch the dog walkers throw the tennis balls at the dogs and whatever. So I've really enjoyed using this old Leica case. So I've been using this Gordy strap, little wrist strap. Works really well. The old Leica case has a 3/8 thread, so I'm using a 1/4 inch adapter, and this of course strap threads into there. But I've been holding it kind of like this when I've been carrying it around in the neighborhoods. It works really well this way, kind of just kind of a 2-finger, maybe a 3-fingered grip like that. Really, I'm gripping it around the base of the strap itself, like that, and then just kind of swings like that as I walk, and then I can reference my settings here, transfer them to the camera itself, and ready to shoot. Well, I had a lot of fun shooting today with this roll of Ektar 100. It's not quite used up, and so I don't want to waste these frames. So we're going to have another video coming up in the future about the results from the Ektar 100, the color film shot in this old Zorki 1E with the Jupiter 8 lens. We'll see how it renders color, huh? But in the meantime, I'm really pretty excited about the results I've been getting with black and white film in this camera. And the Camera 100 film seems to be a pretty good film for this kind of a shooting experience. And I like the price, and the film in general is pretty good. So it's fun carrying the camera like this around, and I hope to continue doing so. And we'll keep you updated on more fun results with the Zorki 1E. And it's a beautiful day in Albuquerque here, kind of cloudy and cool, and I'm going to continue trying to be creative today. And I hope you stay creative also. Until next time, have yourselves a great day. Bye-bye for now.